Hi class! So at the time that you guys are watching this, you should be finished with all of your parachute drop data for your egg drops. Now, I know it's really exciting throwing those chutes up in the air, experimenting with new designs, and just trying to figure out which parachute is going to be the best to slow down your egg and prevent it from breaking when it hits the ground. We're going to be shooting them off the roof soon, and it will be awesome. But one thing that I wanted to do is to show us how to create an infographic with the data that we've recorded. You did the experiments yourself, creating a parachute, testing its fall time, and now we're going to upload it in a visual format called an infographic. What is an infographic, you might ask? An infographic is a visual means of displaying data that makes it really interesting and easy to read. So once we get started, we're going to have three basic steps. We're going to choose a template, we're going to add charts and visuals, and then we're going to get to customize our design. Today, watching this video, I'm going to help you guys through the first two steps here. Well, I'm going to call three of my own steps. 1, getting an account. 2, importing selecting a graph. And 3, importing our data. So if you scroll back up here, Venngage.com is the website that we're going to use. VENNGAGE.com. And if you look at the top of the page here, it says sign in. So that's how you'll access it later. But for right now, we need to create an account. So we're going to sign up for free. Once we've clicked that button and it's loaded, we have our registration options. If you're logged into a Chromebook at home with your Google account, you may use the simple sign up with Google option. If you're not logged into your school Gmail account at home, then I'd like you to register manually, because we do want this account linked to your school account since you're going to be using it for school purposes. If you wanted to create your own account, by all means you could do that with your own personal email, but for this one we're going to use our school email. So take a minute, fill in your information, or if you're logged into your computer at home, you can just hit sign up with Google. Make sure the information's correct and that you don't sign up using your brother's account or something. And pause the recording and come back when you're finished. Alright, are we back now? So now that you've logged in, you can see this page, the templates page is where it should have brought you. And there are many different things that we can create using the free version of this website. Infographics, different types of infographics, is just one idea of things that we could use this to make. We could make report cards with the education. We could make posters, flyers. We could make brochures for a promotion. And then we're able to share it using the social options. But for right now, we're going to focus on the infographic. And what I'd like you to do, you can take a minute and scroll through these. As you see, each one is labeled either as beginner, intermediate, or an advanced template. If you scroll down just a little bit, I'm going to have you start with the blank canvas. Although something like this dark report letter might be what we want our final image to look like. So up at the top, I want you guys to click blank canvas. Alright, it says let's get started. If you want, you can pause the video and hit next and go through on your own, but I'm going to show you some of the elements that we're going to need to use for our project. So if you would like, you may just continue with me. I'm going to press no thanks. Gotta move my screen over. So your screen should look like this. It's got a blank page and it has these menus on the side: charts, maps, pictograms, icons, text, images, etc. For tonight's assignment, what I want us to do is I want us to focus on getting our chart. Now, we can go down, we can select a few different types of charts. There's lots of interesting kinds, like a line, a smooth line, a column. For our purposes, for recording our parachute drop data, the column or the bar graph are going to be the best to record the differences in our drop times. So I'm going to choose a column graph. Just click and drag it into here. It's preloaded with some basic data. It's got May, June, July. But what I want to do is I want to double click and I'm going to pause here because it's not letting me show everything. Sorry about that delay. I got my screen fixed. So now you can see most of the data. So we selected the column graph. We clicked, dragged it onto our page. These buttons at towards the bottom left will allow us to easily enlarge or shrink our graph. Oh, that's actually zooming in on the whole page. I'm sorry. And then if we wanted, we can drag our graph around. And in a little bit, I'll show you how we can make that larger. But for right now, what I want you to do is double click on it. And the edit option should open up. So you should see this black area that says data table open up. Now, you have two options. And I would like you guys to complete this before we come back to class tomorrow. You can start recording your data one of two ways. You can enter it into a Google spreadsheet and upload it using a URL, or you may go ahead and start typing your data into the data table provided. So for example, I would say this is my base test. This is the basic parachute. Basic parachute. And the average drop time was 4 seconds. I know that might not be super representative of what you guys found in your test. I'm just giving an example. You can continue to go through and edit these. Design 1, design 2, design 3. I'm going to pause for a second and get mine caught up. You should do the same. If you decided to use Google Sheets to upload your materials, then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go to the share link, get a shareable link. I don't think you need to have it available to view or edit. You just can have it view. And then we're going to go back to our our Venngage. Here it's going to say import a public spreadsheet. You are going to enter your data there. Oh, invalid URL or key. Hang on one second. I need to verify that my sheet is published. So, what I need to do then is hit File, Publish to the Web, and then you will hit Make your content visible to anyone by publishing it on the web. You can link to or embed your document. Now I'll hit Publish. I'm going to publish this selection. Chances are nobody's going to need to use it. Nobody's ever going to look at it. So, this is one way to do it. If you're concerned about privacy, then I might consider just entering it into the Venngage by hand. But I now have the link, so I can Control-C, copy that link, go back to my Venngage, and let's try again. It's okay to make mistakes, isn't it? So import, now you can see my data has changed. It uploaded the information that I had on my Google Doc. And one of the nice things is that it automatically adjusts, Venngage automatically adjusts the scale of your graph to take into consideration the amount of data you have. So whereas before it went up to 15, once it realized my highest data point was 5.1, they changed it so that it used a scale of 6. So now I've got my graph, and I can see the data presented, but something's missing. What do we always talk about needing? Oh yeah, I need to know what my graph's talking about. And automatically, Venngage doesn't import all of that data, so you may have to mess around to get it to show up. So once again, we're going to double click to open up and edit. And if you see here was the one I unloaded from Google Drive. It has Series 1 and Series 2. But if you see, according to my data color settings, Series 2 is the only one that's displaying information. So I'm going to click Series 1, and I am going to delete the column. Now that looks a little bit more interesting, doesn't it? But I still don't have labels. So what we need to do is we need to go over to the settings over here. And if you scroll down just a little bit, it says title settings. Show title on or off. I think I want a title. It just says my chart. So I'm going to call it parachute drop times. And then, cool. When I save settings, it updates. Now, things aren't going to visually change until you save your settings, so you can go ahead and do that every time and then just double click to get back into the editing menu. Totally up to you. Or you could do everything, save it at the end, and hope it works. So now we're going to keep scrolling down here. And if I find the legend, I can turn that on. But all the legend tells me is what's up at the very top here. Series 2. I don't want it to say Series 2, so I could say parachute styles. But something that's going to be better than that is going to be to talk about each specific one. So this is my base design. This is the design. The first one was the time for the design that everyone used, right? And then I have my custom number 1. I have my custom 2, and so on and so forth. Now this one is updating as I enter it, which is awesome. Custom 4. You guys can be more specific on what you're updating for, and as soon as you click outside of that cell, that's when it's going to update. Then go ahead, scroll down, mess around with the colors of each of your data points. Let's give this one a nice green. That looks pretty cool. So I'm going to save everything, and this is what I want you to have for class. You don't have to have any of the designs. What I want you to have is your account set up, your graph chosen, and your basic data inside the graph. If you have all of this complete when you come to class on Thursday, this will be perfect, and we will rock and roll from here. Thanks guys, see you soon.